Hey everyone, my name is Marisol Zuniga. I go to Cal State LA and my major is organizational communications.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Gutierrez. I also go to Cal State LA and my major is mass media.
Hi, my name is Julie Garcia, and I am a sociology major with a focus on law and society here at Cal State LA too. Today, me and my group are going to talk about how gentrification has affected our communities. Personally, as somebody who's lives in LA my whole life, I see my city change upon me. And as I grew older, I came to realize that those special family owned businesses that me and my family enjoyed are getting eliminated by big chain corporations. Little by little, parks and small businesses are getting replaced. And although LA doesn't significantly belong to me in any way, I feel that a there is a new form of elimination of our culture and of Chicanx that is strongly being eliminated in Los Angeles, and it's raising the prices of rent here, which is driving a lot of families that have called LA home away.
Yeah, I know, Marisol, you want to mention the definition of gentrification?
Yeah, so according to Google, gentrification is the process whereby the character of a poor urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing, and attracting new businesses, typically displacing current inhabitants in their process.
Yeah, and this can be seen also in media. I was just talking about the show Gentrification on Netflix, and it talks about it actually shows you firsthand how a small business owner is affected by gentrification. And it's also like in Shameless, it's in a lot of popular shows, and you see the person of color or the minority being affected and being displaced out of their own neighborhoods. I personally, I grew up in Mid City. I grew up in Mid City around K Town, Inglewood. I lived in the Valley for a period of time, and I want to talk about like the early signs that I saw when I started noticing gentrification. When I was younger, it was different because gentrification wasn't necessarily a thing. It was more or less cleaning up the neighborhood. And the first thing I noticed was the Ralphs in Mid City. It was kind of like a rundown Ralph. Somebody really cared about it. My uncle actually worked for Ralph's, and he was the one that told me that they were going to close it down. But then they started fixing it, remodeling it. They made it like a Ralph's Fresh or something. And it's in like a little shopping area. And in that shopping area, there was a Golden Bird, there was like a VCR store, there was like a pizza store. And we would go there after high school. We would get pizza, we would get chicken. It felt local. Like I just loved going there, and I knew all the people. There's one place, it's called Little Beijing. It's actually been there since my mom was in high school, and it's like the only place that survived, and they've known me since I was a child, and every time they see me, they're like, oh, how's your mom, how's your loca dad, stuff like that. So it's stuff like that that really keeps the community engaged. And seeing all these changes, they built a living spaces. Like, we don't need a living spaces. They built a new shopping center that has like Chipotle, it had an Ulta, it has Bath and Body Works, and more recently, actually, I live closer to the train station, and they're building like a Whole Foods. They just built a whole bunch of condos, and that street already is so packed with traffic that I can only imagine how worse it's going to get once the Whole Foods open, once they start moving into those condos. Like, they've already made Adams into like a 1-lane street, and that's just so much traffic. What used to take me approximately 15 minutes now takes me 30 minutes. And like, to get to Target alone, I live 5 minutes away from Target, it takes me 20 minutes sometimes because of traffic. Do you guys notice it in your area?
So I do. So, sorry, go ahead, Julie.
Oh, sorry. So when I had moved into my house that I am at right now, I was probably in like first or second grade. So, and now I'm on my third year here at Casa de Ley. So I want to say I've been living here for about 12 years. And I don't know if you are familiar with those houses that literally all look the same. Like, there's a block of houses that are the
The
same.
gentrification houses that all look blocked.
Yeah, so I'm in one of those. But the funny thing here is that my family is probably the only ones who have stuck around. So my house has kept the value from when we initially got here. And if we look at the rent or like the cost of the houses around us now, it's probably gone up at least 100K. So, and that just goes to show that, you know, a lot of people are coming to LA, and it's because of the gentrification that's attracting a lot of tourism too.
Yeah, and not to cut you off or anything, but like I live in the house that I'm at now. It's like a 1 bedroom house, and I've lived here, I want to say 11 years, and my rent is only like 1,200, and it's like a 1 bedroom house. And my friends have all been looking for apartments. Their apartments are like 1,500 for a 1 bedroom. My sister lives in a studio for, I want to say 1,500. And like when I was younger, my parents were gonna buy the house, but they ended up buying it, another house. But there's houses on my block that look so run down that are worth 2.5 million. And they're like a 1 bedroom. There's no backyard. It's insane. Like it's ridiculous.
It's because everyone wants to live in LA. So
Yeah.
I've never lived in like the actual city of Los Angeles, but just knowing people, like when you go anywhere, you go to other cities, other states, like, oh my God, you're from LA. Do you see celebrities? Like, of course I don't. But even me, like how you guys are saying, like my parents moved to their house in 1996. And
Oh,
I'm
wow.
very transparent. So they bought their house at like 350,000. And it was a pretty big house.
Mhm.
I had a pool, all this in the backyard. Now I want to say it's going for like 1.7 million.
Oh, wow.
And you wouldn't think, and I'm just like, how? But times are different, especially like when it comes to like minimum wage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna get into that. So like I was reading in LA Times how the minimum wage is like $14 now, and 25, like, and that's only for like people that have like 20 to 25 employees. So you can just imagine for organizations that are even more. And right now, like I'm very open. So it's like with my income that I get, like my rent is expensive. I
Mhm.
pay $2,000.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it's like literally, it's like you gotta live paycheck by paycheck to live over here.
yeah.
Especially like as I live in Downey, like if you walk down the street, like I'm very like privileged, I guess, in the sense of where like I have a town center here, I have a mall over here, like there's everything around me that I need. But guess what? There's no parking.
Yeah.
Like I'm grateful that me and my roommate have parking. Like we have our own parking spaces, because to find parking on the street, no, we literally have to park inside, because I live in an apartment. So it's all apartments along the main street. And then within the neighborhood, it's homes. But
Yeah.
it's like if people were to invite like their guests over, there is no parking for anyone.
Yeah.
And just to get from the freeway to my house, it takes me 35 minutes because it's so congested with cars.
It's so bad. I'm not even lying to you. My house is right here. There's the street and then there's a freeway. So I live
it's
literally
close.
right next to the freeway, and the entrance is probably like 2 blocks away from my house. It takes me like 30 minutes just to get on the freeway. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
insane. It's insane. Yeah. But like, so another example is like a couple of years ago, they started like a GoFundMe for I don't know if you guys ever been to the Crenshaw Mall.
Mm-mm.
Box house?
It's the Crenshaw Mall. It's like on Crenshaw and MLK. It's called like the Baldwin Hill Shopping Center. But so growing up in LA, anybody who has gone to LA High, who's gone to Hamilton, who's gone to Dorsey, Crenshaw High, everybody used to go there after school. So it's like the center of minority Los Angeles, because you have like bougie Los Angeles. But they were actually selling it, and this community group tried to raise money to save the mall, and they wanted to save it to make it a community center, because it's a very, like, when I was younger, they would have like the Pan-African Film Festival, they would have like art shows there, like it was amazing. Like I learned so much thanks to it or whatever. But there's like companies that try to save it that were people of color, especially like Leimert Park. Leimert Park is like super small business owned. It's a lot of Black owned companies. And, I was reading an article actually on the LA Times, and it talks about like grassroots developments, and word for word, it says, grassroots developments deals don't materialize despite often clear benefits for long neglected communities of color. Most at fault are the systematic issues that disproportionately put Black people at a disadvantage financially. So it goes into how it's harder for Black people and people of color to get loans from banks because the banks don't trust them. And then that affects them trying to buy up their own property and own their own businesses,
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with like Boyle Heights, which is one of the biggest examples of gentrification. Boyle Heights, Silver Lake, Echo Park, that whole area was super Latino owned. And then art galleries started popping up. All these like coffee shops started popping up. And now it's probably one of the most expensive places to live in. And like, you know, in another article that I read by Knock LA, it talks about this group of residents who lived in a housing complex who also tried doing the same thing, raising money, but because they are people of color, it gets harder for them to actually buy their own property. And I actually read another article, which is really crazy. So this girl moved in to Silver Lake at the beginning of the first gentrification. So she had like a little coffee shop, she had her own little thing, and then they started gentrifying it again, and she got kicked out. And so she was like, oh my God, you know, it's so hard. And it's like, girl, you did this to other people. Like,
Yeah.
not saying that it's right, but girl, you were a part of the original problem. It's just, yeah, it's insane. It's crazy.
Speaking of Echo Park in LA, like, have you guys been in downtown LA recently?
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
The homelessness is out of control.
Yeah.
Like, I was reading an article on the Huffington Post last year, homelessness jumped from 12% within LA County. That's approximately 54,800 Angelinos, and this year approximately 150 people per day became homeless just within the LA County.
Wow.
It's insane.
By any chance, have you heard of the Safer Cities Initiative? No.
I haven't. No.
Okay, so it's introduced in a writing by Alex Vittel. And in the writing, the Safer Cities Initiative and the Removal of Homelessness, it talks about the initiative and the plan which involves a lot of law enforcement resources to sweep streets from homelessness in Skid Row. Although the article mentions that there's a slight decrease in crime, it also challenges the goal of the initiative, because although it says that crime and homelessness has gone down, the main reason they're doing this is so that they could clean homelessness away from the streets to open opportunities for gentrification. And it's just kind of like, when you think about it, the initiative, if you closely look into it, they focus a lot on arresting or giving citations to these homeless people too. So they're already homeless. They already are very poor, probably struggle every day to have money to eat, and they still get citations for being homeless, living on the streets. And then when they aren't able to pay those citations, they get arrested. And once they come back to the streets, they have not only lost like what they have from like their tents or any other homeless essentials, but they're also less likely to get a job because they were arrested. So this initiative is just like a loophole, and it's very contradicting to, you know, the goal or the initiative that was planned.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense because it costs, I want to say, about $100,000 per year to keep somebody incarcerated. That money that you're spending on keeping a person in prison, you could easily invest in homelessness. Half of the money that goes to the LAPD can just easily go to homelessness. But because they want to get rid of these people, they want to give these properties to people that they think they're going to invest in, and they want to make it nicer. It's like, no, you are making it worse because these people don't have nowhere to live. They don't have any money. And because they don't have money, they're going to start robbing people all over the place. You know, Melrose is one of the busiest places in Los Angeles, and a lot of people spend money there, and people keep dying on Melrose. They keep getting shot. They keep robbed. They keep getting robbed because all these people are moving in and they're trying to make way for all these people, and these people are losing their homes. You know, the rent is going up. Nobody can afford to live here. And it's not fair for people that are born and raised in Los Angeles. You know, we were born and raised here. Everything we know is Los Angeles. And you have people coming in from other states who are like, oh, I think I'm going to live here because my parents own property in Michigan and they can afford to pay for my rent too. And it's like, it's unfortunate because you also have homeless people from other states getting sent over here, or people that aren't being helped are ending up homeless. And it's like, gentrification doesn't just affect property taxes and ability to live in a certain place. It affects so much more. It affects the community. It affects your mental health. It affects where you live. Like, it's so hard and it's so unfortunate. And I genuinely think it's something that really needs to be addressed. You know, it's not good for the people that live here and have invested their whole lives here.
Right. and going on to that part, like I know like how we were talking about mom and pop shops earlier, especially with COVID, that did not help at all. So many shops got like people lost their jobs, people had to close their businesses that they've been from scratch up they built. Homelessness increased a crazy amount. So it's like none of that helped the situation. And it's like you have all these vacant buildings in LA where it's like if they can invest money, those vacant buildings get turned into homeless shelters. Instead of having them on the street or kick them out, like you can go ahead and invest in that.
I agree. I think we should definitely, it's just something that really needs to be focused on. And, you know, communities are fighting back. You know, we have people raising money to buy each other smaller business to help keep the property for the community, because we know what's best for us. We know what we need. We know that, you know, sometimes after school, we just want to grab a pizza. We don't want to go to freaking Subway. We don't want to go to Five Guys. Like that doesn't matter. Like it's a matter of community and helping our own people feel like they can build their own businesses in their communities, you know? And gentrification just is masked as something that's like, oh, you know, we're trying to keep the city beautiful. Like, let us keep our city beautiful. Let us take care of our people. Let us live here without having to fear that we're not going to be able to afford next month's rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, I feel like I spoke a lot, but essentially, you know, is there any final thoughts you guys have? Is there anything you guys want to add on how you guys feel like we can help moving forward or anything?
I read it in an article that there are 4 characteristics that mainly define or that might help you realize that gentrification is happening. And it's basically if anything is, or if like a corporation is investing to affect the history, the built environment, local economy, or political power of a place. And I believe that well, especially history and built environment is something that's should be very emphasized as far as you knowing that your community is being gentrified. Because I don't know, like I used to work in downtown LA a lot, or I used to go there a lot too. And it's crazy how that culture that I used to see when I was small is slowly being eliminated by corporations. And it's very crazy because, you know, it seems more and more that LA is not really culture based. It's more of like a tourist spot. And it's because I've lived here
it's what's in the now.
I agree.
Because the thing is, social media too, they have like such a play. Like there's a lot of people on social media that are born and raised in Los Angeles. And I feel like people, they have a voice and they should use it. Like they're all about their community. They're all about this. But when it comes to gentrification, they're the first ones to be at that new restaurant instead of supporting local mom and pop shops, or instead of just going to their town, they have to go to the new spot that they have posted. So I feel like stuff like that, like I'm sure we all pay our dues and we all go to the local mom and shop. Like you said, you want to have pizza at a small local place around the corner, or you want to try this. Like, why go to the places that have chains? They have customers all the time. You need to go to smaller things.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess this wraps up our conversation.
Right. It was nice talking to you, ladies.
And bye back. Okay, thank you guys.